Hello, good morning. How are we today? So, on 5th, we held a webinar. The main aim of that webinar was just like the theme, Teachers Resumption Talk. We were focused on preparing teachers emotionally, psychologically for a new term. You understand that there are several things that goes into preparing for a new school term. There's so many things: the lesson notes, sourcing for school materials, classroom decoration, so many trainings. All these are wonderful. But one thing I discovered is that most times in all this hustle and bustle of preparation, we forget ourselves. See, teaching is a very emotionally demanding task. You don't just give the course content alone. You give yourself, because we as teachers, we are the backbones of this educational system. We are the backbones of our schools. We are more like the first responders. So everything concerning us is what we put on the line for this particular work. So if you as a teacher neglect the psychological requirements, what it takes, the psychological preparation that you need to do for a particular section, or even for a particular school day, you're going to find out that you are burned out easily. You experience burnout, fatigue, emotional dysregulation, and things like that. So our main aim of hosting this Teachers Resumption Talk is to prepare ourselves psychologically. You agree with me that there are so many mental noise, sometimes unprocessed failures, feeling of shame or guilt, or that failure that we had. In our community on WhatsApp, we did a kind of activity where we are required to talk about our failures, our regrets actually for last time, what we regret not doing, and our proud moments. We said a lot of things. So the truth is that most times, if we don't process the closure, if you don't process closure on the incidents of last time, our failures, our regret, I on my own part, I have my own regret. I wasn't able to conduct a formal career assessment for my SS3 for whatever reason. So these are part of my regrets. So if I don't seek closure on it, probably I might be hoping, okay, that this term is going to be better. But success aren't built on just hope alone. So in the time, when I take out time to reflect, when I take out time to reset on last term, it helps me pick the lessons. It helps me to draw my vision for the term, and it also helps me to face the new term with a kind of newness. So that's why it's important. For this section, we are looking at resetting, we are looking at reconnecting, and we are looking at reigniting our passion. And this is going to take place in 2 sections. The first section, let's talk about reset. Reset psychologically. Reset simply means to take intentional steps to clear our mind, to manage stress, and to restore emotional balance. So when we are taking our time to reset, we are trying to, we are trying to process our emotions, our thoughts, our behaviors for that period. So, to gain clarity and to re-energize ourselves. This is very important, not just for a new school term, but for every school day. I normally tell teachers, don't be in a hurry to rush home after school. Sit down, reflect on the day's activity, pause, recharge, find out areas where you didn't do well, find out points of friction or challenge, and try as much as possible to address each and every one of them, so that the next day when you are coming back to class, you are coming back renewed, you are coming back with having re-strategized. You find out that if you do all these things, you are more mentally prepared to handle your learners for that school year, for that school day. So it is very, very important. Another reason why it is important is that it helps to prevent burnout. Teaching is emotionally and mentally demanding. So a regular reset helps us to avoid exhaustion, to avoid fatigue. It helps us to regulate our emotions. In between lessons, you might be having a kind of challenge. Just a little pause, just a little mindfulness exercise, a little breathing in and breathing out will help you. That's the importance of reset. That's why it is important. Another reason why it is important is it enhances decision making. See, any decision you make when your mind is not settled, most times those decisions aren't really okay. So when you take your time out to reset, you find out that you are re-strategizing. You are in a better position to make wonderful decisions or better decisions. I remember being in a kind of situation. It was in my class. That was so many years ago. I happened to have this particular girl. I was trying to teach her, trying to get her to understand the particular concept, and it wasn't just happening. I was beginning to get irritated. She, on her own part, she was beginning to get irritated. She was fearful, she was agitated, and things like that. And I noticed that at that point in time, if I don't press a pause on it, I'm going to do something I don't like. At that point, what do? Reset. Take some time out. We had a story that trended some time ago about a particular teacher that was in the same fix as I was, trying to get a child to do some activities in class, and the child couldn't, and she started hitting the child. It generated a whole lot of, and it affected her work. So these are instances where we see the importance of resetting. Assuming that teacher took some time, boy, go and sit down for now. Let me gather myself together. And you find out that if that boy comes back, the teacher will be in a better position to handle him. The teacher will also find out ways to handle him. And seriously, reset isn't all about taking breaks alone. It's about reflecting, going over events, find out what was my reaction like, what was the situation like, what would I have done better, is very important. So reset helps us to reflect on our practices. Most times we are mindful, we point out so much of how the other person reacted, but we find out that, please, so sorry for that, that's the thing tripping off. So we are so concerned about what that particular person, how that child reacted, but we refuse to see how we ourselves behaved that led to that particular reaction. So these are the things we consider in reset. And for this particular time, as the school is resuming, I would want you to take some time out, maybe over this weekend, take some time out. What were those areas of failure? What were those areas of mistakes? What were those mistakes, those regrets? What would you have? What was that thing you had wanted to do that you didn't do? What was that response you had wanted to give that you couldn't give? These are times where you sit it out, reflect on it, seek closure on it, and not just that, you pick your lessons. We are not reflecting to dwell on those mistakes. We are not reflecting to wallow in our guilt or whatever. We want to pick those mistakes and we forge ahead. Like I said earlier during that webinar, I said that there is a regret I had from about last term. I wasn't able to give my students a formal career assessment, and in my moment of reflection, I found out that there were several activities that came at the same time, and I wasn't able to do that. So what do I pick from it? I will re-strategize, plan myself for this new term. How will I do it so that I won't be choked up? So these are the things we do in reset. And there are so many things we do, so many ways of resetting. One of the ways is taking a walk to clear your mind. Take a walk, feel nature, experience nature. Another way is journaling. I advise teachers at the end of every day, take some time, journal. As you are journaling, you are bringing to consciousness those emotions, those thoughts. You are analyzing those behaviors of last time, of whatever event it is. And as you are doing it, it also helps you to take calculative steps towards sorting out whatever it is. So journaling is very important. Listening to music, your exercises, yoga, and everything. When you exercise, listen to music and do some things like dancing, oxytocins are released. That's a feel good hormones, and your brain, like I was telling the teachers during that particular webinar, the brain function on a particular frequency, just like the radio frequency, and mental noise upsets these brain waves. And when it's in chaos, you are not able to think straight. You won't be able to react well to situations. So taking out time to bring back the flow, to get back into the frequency, is very important, and that is what resetting helps us to do. So you can take on several activities. Just a little nap is also okay. I found out something. I found out that in the school where I work, I found out that there were this set of teachers that are always energetic, enthusiastic about their work. They deliver on regular. They might have some hitches here and there, but it doesn't just define them. In fact, it seems as if they are happy coming to school. So I decided to inquire from some of them. I found out that they reset, they take out time to reflect, calm down, fill up their emotional tank, and come back. And I also found out that those teachers do what I call reconnecting. They reconnect to their why. These are teachers that are they have their goals and they stick to it. They're disciplined enough, they stick to it, and this thing drives them. So this is very important. When you reset, also reconnect. Your why is very important. I ask teachers every time, why are you here? Maybe it's time you listen to my own why. Okay, I was this late. I have a dyscalculia. Yes, I'm a special lady. I'm a special school psychologist. I had dyscalculia. So whenever it has to do with numbers, I can't make out numbers. I can't make out numbers. So whenever there are numbers on the board, headache, tears, so many things, the numbers are dancing. I can't string them together. So I didn't know. As a child going to school, I didn't know, my parents didn't know, even my teachers didn't know. So, and I felt as if I was one of these dumb students, dumb pupils. Yes, felt I wasn't intelligent. That's just it. So my why came this particular day. We were done with assembly. We came in, finished with the school record and everything. What I saw on the board was LCM and ACF. I didn't know. Period to that time, I don't know what is LCM. I don't know what is a HCM. That was my first time. Apparently, other students other pupils did it in class when I wasn't in school, because we don't take. Then my parents were not fans of private lesson or after school lesson, so we didn't do it. I didn't do it. I saw it. Before I knew it, there were numbers on the board, and then comes this dizziness. The numbers are dancing, headache, and everything. Before I knew what was happening, my teacher called me to come to the board. I came. I was still looking at the numbers. I couldn't make anything out. What I had at my back was swah. 2 strokes of cane at my back. At that point, what ran through my mind was, God, this is so unfair. This is so unfair. There are students like me. It's not really because we choose not to understand, but for one reason or the other, I can't make out numbers. So this is so unfair. Who is going to understand me? At that point, I made up my mind that I'm going to be a teacher, someone that will be there for students like me. So fast forward today, I'm not just a teacher alone, I'm a school psychologist. So my vision, my goal keeps driving me. And for whatever step I'm taking in life, that's it. These are part of my why. So I don't know about you. Your reason might not sound as, your why might not sound as noble as mine. But the truth is that So far as you are genuine about your why, not hurting yourself or hurting another person, your why should drive you to a point of excellence. It should drive you to a point of wanting to do more, wanting to commit, wanting to contribute, to impact in the life of these students. I was telling someone, you might have found yourself in the teaching field because you don't seem to get another better paying job. It should drive you to do better and impact in these children, so that they might not find themselves in the situation where you found yourself. It should be a drive, something that drives you to do this work. Actually, I was telling somebody, do this work as if you are doing your dream job. It might not be your dream job. Teaching profession might not be your dream field, but do it as if you are doing. Because Mr. Innocentus has said something. He said, the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. If you are handling your learners as if they don't matter, see, if you see yourself in that very lofty position where you want to be, you will still do the same thing. It's all about value. Your why drives your value. So now that we are talking about our why, can you take a moment to reflect on your why? Why are you here? Why are you listening to this video? Why are you listening? Why are you in this group? Why are you preparing for the next time? Why are you in this teaching field? I would want you to take some time out to reflect on your why. It's very important. It drives your values. It drives the way you teach. It drives how you respond to these ones. So that is it for our why. So let's touch something that is very key in our profession. A lot of people have not come to understand it. Some actually think it's one of those things that we do, but seriously, it's very, very important, and that is self-awareness. And from self-awareness, let me go to mental awareness. Mental awareness is the ability to recognize and understand your thoughts, emotions, and behavior in a moment. Self-awareness is the ability to understand yourself, understand your drives. We talked about whys, right? To understand what drives you, understand who you are, understand how your mind works. Thus, understand the values you hold, your perspectives, your ideologies. It's very important and it's very key in your teaching profession. I was telling somebody that when I understood the neurodivergent me, teaching became easier for me. It was less frustrating. Let me take, for example, movements. Movements distract me a lot. Yes, that's how I notice every bit of movement. So whenever I'm in class, students tend to move, and it's not their fault, but I would pause the lesson and start trashing out that movement. So why don't you stop? I'm distracted, things like that. But the moment I understood that aspect of me, it helped me to develop a kind of shield. It helped me to be proactive. okay, if a student moves, what do I do? It helped me to redirect myself. So if you understand yourself, understand how your mind works. That's understand yourself, self-awareness. Understand how your mind works, your mental awareness. You are mentally aware. Understand how your emotions work, your thoughts at a particular situation. So it helps you to identify what triggers you, your stressors, the triggers and everything, and deal with it. It's also because as a teacher, you're a role model. A calm teacher, an emotionally regulated teacher is a foundation, sets the tone for an emotionally regulated classroom. So this is very important. Strategies for mental awareness, we've mentioned it before when we were talking about resetting. We talked about mindfulness practices, we talked about journaling, we talked about check-ins. Check-in simply means you pause at the middle of the day. I normally tell teachers, when it's time for break, take a break. Let it be a moment of doing your check-ins. Pause. Find out, how am I feeling at this point in time? What adjustments do I need to make? It's very, very important. So, let's go to emotional regulation. Now that we are talking about mental awareness, let's go to emotional regulation. Emotional regulation is the ability to understand, manage, and respond to your emotions in healthy and constructive ways. Recognize your triggers, control impulsive reactions, calm yourself when you are upset, and adjust emotional response based on the situation. So, in a nutshell, emotional regulation simply means staying composed and balanced in every situation. And you are not going to regulate well if you are not mentally aware. You see the connection. You won't regulate well. So when we are talking about classroom management and everything, emotional regulation is there. And how can you regulate emotionally when you are not mentally aware? You see, all these are very key to our classroom experiences. Our classroom. If somebody said you are your classroom thermostat, yes, you set the tone. You set the tone. So let me pick a few things. Finally, we didn't talk about a trauma sensitive classroom. This is going to come. We are going to talk about it in later webinars. We are going to be hosting a lot of webinars because our workbook will be dropping very soon, and I'm excited. Yes, it's a self-awareness journey for teachers. It's titled The Conscious Educator, a 16 weeks journey to self-awareness. I normally tell teachers, if you are self-aware, you have done 70% of the work. So if you are not in the group, please stay, take your seat, sit down. It will be starting on Monday, hopefully, because we are trying to set so many things up so that we can download it when it's time. So we'll be starting on Monday. Hopefully every Friday we'll be having our webinars, our live section where we talk about the topic for the week. I gave us a sneak peek into the topics, and I know some of us are excited already. So in our later webinars, we will talk about trauma sensitive classrooms. So before I go off, let me say a few things, especially when it comes to the next term. So see, the next 2 weeks is going to be a time of setting up routines, classroom routines, trying to get to know our learners. Please don't take it for granted. Don't take it for granted. Try as much as possible to get to know your learners and set up routines. See, children are waiting for you to give instructions. They are waiting for you. There was a particular research that was conducted. Children thrive on instructions. They thrive on routines. They thrive on systems. They thrive on stability. When there is a routine, there is stability. They are able to adapt to that environment. There is nothing like unpredictable circumstances. It can come up once in a while, and that's one of the things our timetable does for us, that routine. But beyond that, especially if we have very young learners, the toddlers and everything, their routine should include their water breaks, their toilet breaks, their calm down breaks, things like that. So once they are in classroom, they know what to do. And not just that alone, give clear instructions. As you are about to start for the new term, give clear instructions, no ambiguous instructions. If you are going to tell them to submit the assignments, give them time, give them point out the space where they need to do it. Avoid ambiguity. So that is it. And another one is, as we are trying to get to know our learners, that simply means relation is very key. Relationship is very key. As we are trying to build relationship with our learners, that relationship is very key, because when we connect to our learners come to trust us. And when they trust us, learning can happen. Yes, when they trust us, learning can happen easily. Imagine trying to discipline a child you have not connected with. It will either be met with rebellion, resentment, or they are passive. Very few will pick it up. So connect, relate with your students, try to get to know their names, be involved in their business. I have this particular student of mine. He likes the stock market. He analyzes, and I don't know anything about it. But whenever he comes to gist with me, he is always happy, because I give him listening ears. I ask him questions. I get clarification. I learn as well. So take note of their interest. If it's possible, carry each of them along. Not if it is possible, it's necessary. Carry them along when you are teaching. How do I put it now? Try to incorporate their interests in that particular subject. Probably that particular day I was having that challenge with that particular child. Assuming I knew her areas of interest, and I had presented that lesson from that particular angle, perhaps she would have caught on. Do you understand? And I want to also let us know that behavior is communication. Our students, our learners' behavior, most times they are not just trying to be difficult. most times they are trying to communicate to us. So we have to be very sensitive and careful of how we respond to them, because how we respond, if you respond in a way you are not supposed to respond, it might help end up breeding resentment, it might help end up breeding rebellion, it might end up shutting that particular child up. I remember a question we asked in the group, that was last week, where we were talking about shame. Most people shared that they wanted to answer a question, or they did something, and the way the teacher responded, they made a lifelong decision not to get involved in anything that has to do with crowd. These are things that can happen when we don't respond well. Behaviors are pointers, they are communication. The child is trying to tell you something, no matter how bad. And I've said it, and I will keep saying it. Please, let's try not to label children. Let's try not to label children. When you label a child, two extreme things can happen. It's either the child shuts off, or the child starts, how will I put it, the child will now start doing that thing. Yes, it happens. The child will now start doing that thing. Oh, you're an idiot. Oh, the teacher said I'm an idiot. You will now start doing things to get on your nerves. That's just it. So that is it. And again, one of the ways to build friendship, one of the ways to build a relationship with our learners is to do what? To acknowledge their greeting and also greet them. Yes. Acknowledge them when they are greeting you. Yes. Acknowledge them when they are greeting you. Greet them. Yes. I was telling a group of teachers that I was training last week. So I greet my students. At first, they were shocked because it doesn't happen a lot in this side of the world. But it doesn't reduce anything from me. I'm still me. So the first time they came in contact with me and it happened, they were shocked. And now we exchange pleasantries very well. It makes them feel important. It makes them feel important. Then, in one of our webinars, we will be talking about balance between authority and compassion. Because when we say build a relationship, so many of us now throws ourselves without boundaries. It's not right. It's not proper. There should be a particular extent. There should be lines or in conduct. I was telling somebody, if we allow someone to be their worst in your personal space, they'll keep doing it. But when you tackle it immediately, and when you tackle it constructively, that person might be anyhow outside, but when they come close to you, they arrange themselves. They try and be in their best behavior because they are not doing it out of fear. They are not doing it out of hypocrisy. They are doing it out of respect for your boundaries. So as a teacher, you need a balance between authority and compassion. You don't tilt to this side alone. Tilt on authority alone. You become a dictator. And on a short term, you will seem as if you are achieving your goal. Of course, control, that's the goal. On a short term, it seems as if you are achieving your goal. But at the later end, you find out that you will end up raising hypocrites when they are with you at their best behavior. But at the long run, it becomes a burden on them. And one day they will rebel. Yes. One day they will rebel. And if you are leaning so much on empathy without logic, you find out that most times they will take you for granted. Yes, it happens. It has happened to me. And that's why we need to draw a line. Somebody does something. This is wrong. There was a particular child I had a kind of experience with. That was last term. And I felt disrespected. And I told him I felt disrespected. We made sure we disciplined him. He was given a time out. His parents were invited. They were spoken to. At the end of everything, it wasn't last term, that was last 2 terms. So as our last term, we were good. It's funny because the way everything happened, and even at that time, assuming I wasn't emotionally regulated, I wasn't mentally aware, I would have lashed out on him. But the way I took everything, it was even his classmates that were telling him, don't you see you disrespected this stuff? And at that point, he started feeling guilty. Coupled with the fact that we took him to the school authorities, he was given a timeout, a time in, several things. Before everything could settle, he was at my office and he apologized. That's the way we deal with it. You don't meet them like that. You don't meet them when everything is going. I remember a particular situation again. A particular boy was disturbing my class. So I actually, he was in the right. So when I asked him to now explain, he was busy shouting. I called his name. I said, am I shouting? He said, no. Auntie, no, you are not shouting. He started calming down. And by the time, model these things to these children. Model it to them. So that is it. Routines, mental awareness, self-awareness, it helps. Resetting your why drives your values, the things you do, the things you hold in esteem, your why drives it. So thank you very much for this wonderful section. Thank you. I appreciate. If you watch this video, please kindly give your feedback. Your contribution is welcome. Your questions are also welcome. Thank you very much. I still remain your school psychologist. If you are in our WhatsApp group, sit tight, be expectant. Next week is going to be wonderful. You are not just starting a new term, you are starting a journey. Thank you very much.